Hello there, and welcome to The Wandering Neuron, a quiet corner of the cosmos where thoughts can stretch out like starlight and knowledge drifts gently, soft enough to carry you towards sleep if your mind wishes. Tonight, our path bends toward one of the most mysterious ideas in science, the possibility of parallel universes. Not just a story whispered in science fiction, but a serious, if controversial, thought in physics and cosmology. And more curiously still, the suggestion that some of these unseen worlds might already be brushing against our own. Before we begin, I'd like to invite you, softly, to make yourself comfortable. Dim the lights, let a fan hum in the background, maybe rest your head on a pillow. And remember, if your thoughts wander or your eyelids grow heavy, that's perfectly fine. You can let go. We'll still be here, unfolding the story slowly, like a page turning in the dark. Our journey starts not with galaxies or equations, but with something closer, smaller, something familiar. Imagine you're standing in a grocery store aisle. In one hand, you hold a box of cinnamon cereal, in the other, something rich and chocolatey. You hesitate, weighing taste against guilt, comfort against indulgence, and then, without much thought, you decide. One box returns to the shelf, the other rides with you in your cart. To you, it's over. A choice was made, a moment closed. But what if it wasn't? What if, somewhere beyond your awareness, the version of you who reached for the chocolate kept going? A tiny splinter of reality, born in that instant, carrying forward with a slightly sweeter tomorrow. It feels like a whisper of imagination, but multiplied across every choice, every fork in every road, the idea swells into something staggering. Missed trains, unread messages, paths you walked past, each of them a seed for another world. And this, in its gentlest form, is the multiverse. Not a single solid timeline, but a branching forest of possibilities. Some branches look almost identical. Others, twisted by larger turns of fate, may be unrecognizable. Worlds where empires never fell. Worlds where your life is entirely different. Worlds where you were never born. And others where you live in ways you cannot imagine. For now, let's not argue whether this is true. Instead, let's rest in the wonder of the question. What if the universe says yes to everything? To move from imagination to physics, we must descend into the strange, flickering realm of the very small, quantum mechanics. At this scale, certainty dissolves. Particles don't simply sit in one place, they hover in probabilities. A photon of light can be both wave and particle, depending on how we look. An electron doesn't follow one path, but every possible path until observation forces it to appear. The many worlds interpretation of quantum physics whispers something bold. What if all those possibilities actually happen? Not in some metaphorical sense, but in real, branching universes. When a particle takes one path here, another version of the universe records the other path. Both exist. Both are real. It's as though every coin toss splits reality in two. Heads in one world, tails in another. Every decision, every chance, every quantum flutter unfolds into countless branches of existence. And if that's true, then right now, there are not just millions, but perhaps infinite versions of you scattered across infinite realities. Some just one serial choice apart, others unimaginably distant. But all of them, if this interpretation holds, as real as the one you are breathing in tonight.
Picture a still pond in the early morning. Mist rises, and the water holds a glassy calm. Then, suddenly, a single bubble forms on the surface. It expands, wobbles, drifts, and then vanishes. Now imagine not one bubble, but countless, forming and popping, spreading across that pond until its surface is covered in shimmering orbs. This image is not far from one of the most remarkable theories in cosmology, eternal inflation. To understand it, we return to the earliest moment of our universe, just after the Big Bang. Scientists believe that space itself expanded at a speed beyond comprehension, faster than light, stretching tiny quantum fluctuations into the vast structures we now see as galaxies and clusters. This rapid swelling of space is called cosmic inflation. But here's the curious part. Many physicists think that inflation may not have happened just once. Instead, it might still be happening in faraway regions beyond our view. Picture space as a vast cosmic loaf of rising bread. In some parts, the dough settles and cools. Those are universes like ours. In others, it keeps rising, stretching, bubbling, birthing new pockets of reality. Each bubble is a universe, self-contained, with its own stars, its own galaxies, maybe even its own laws of physics. Some might sparkle with stars like ours, while others remain eternally dark. We, it seems, inhabit just one bubble among countless others, floating in a frothy cosmic sea. And if this is true, then the multiverse isn't just a poetic dream, it's the natural consequence of the physics that gave us everything. Now, pause for a moment and picture it. An endless ocean of universes, bubbling up like champagne in the dark. And somewhere out there, another bubble floats not far from ours, expanding in silence. If it drifts close enough, if the membranes meet, what then? To explore that possibility, we need to step into a different picture, one painted not by inflation, but by string theory. String theory suggests that the fundamental building blocks of reality are not particles, but tiny vibrating strings, each oscillating at different frequencies to create the particles we know: electrons, quarks, photons, and more. But string theory also requires extra dimensions, more than the three we move through and the one we call time. And within these higher dimensions, our universe might be a brane, short for brain. Imagine it as a vast, invisible sheet floating in a higher dimensional space. If our universe is one brane, there may be others, parallel sheets, stacked, folded, or drifting nearby, each carrying its own universe. Now here's where the thought turns startling. If two branes collide, the energy released could be unimaginably huge. Some scientists have even suggested that the Big Bang itself may have been the echo of such a collision, the moment when two universes brushed together, sparking the birth of ours. Think of cymbals in an orchestra, crashing together with a resounding note. Only here, the note is not sound, but an entire cosmos bursting into being. In this picture, parallel universes are not distant fantasies, but neighbors, layered just beyond the invisible veil of our perception. And if they are so near, separated only by dimensions we cannot touch, then the possibility arises, sometimes they may ripple close enough to kiss the edges of ours. If universes can collide, or even just brush, what would it feel like? What signs might be left in our own sky, quiet but detectable? Physicists have speculated that the cosmic microwave background, the faint afterglow of the Big Bang, might carry such scars. This radiation bathes the universe, uniform and cold, but with tiny fluctuations, ripples that seeded the galaxies. If another universe ever pressed against ours, it might leave behind subtle fingerprints in this cosmic wallpaper. Some researchers have pointed to anomalies, strange cold spots, unusual alignments, and wondered, are these the bruises of a cosmic encounter? Could we be living inside a universe that once brushed against another long ago? The idea is breathtaking and unsettling, for it means that our universe is not sealed and solitary, but porous, vulnerable, part of a larger dance we can scarcely fathom. Now, close your eyes for a moment. Imagine standing on a plane at night, looking up at a sky where the stars are scattered like diamonds. And then, slowly, another sky bleeds through, a ghostly reflection, tilted, shifted, belonging to a universe not our own. For just a heartbeat, the two skies shimmer together, layered, before sliding apart. Science cannot yet tell us if this vision is fantasy or possibility, but the fact that it can even be imagined, and that equations whisper hints of it, is a wonder all its own. Sometimes the universe whispers in patterns we don't fully understand. When astronomers map the heavens, they expect randomness. Galaxies scattered, stars shining, fluctuations in the cosmic microwave background spread out like the static of an untuned radio. And for the most part, that's what they find. But not always. There are anomalies, subtle but persistent. Strange alignments in the microwave background, as though the universe had preferred directions. Vast regions of emptiness, voids so large they defy expectation. And of course, the enigmatic cold spot, a patch of sky cooler and dimmer than it should be. Most scientists look for natural explanations, statistical flukes, foreground interference, the limits of our instruments, and often that is enough. But for some, these irregularities invite a wilder possibility. What if these are the bruises of another reality brushing against ours? Picture two soap bubbles colliding. Where they meet, the surface distorts. Patterns ripple across both spheres. If our universe is such a bubble, drifting in a larger sea, might not the same be true? A collision, long ago, imprinting its echo into our sky, a faint memory we still carry. Not all anomalies are in the sky. Some linger in the quantum world, experiments whose results seem to strain at the edges of probability. Others emerge in the mysteries of dark matter and dark energy, invisible forces shaping galaxies in ways we barely comprehend. Could these too be signs of influence from beyond our universe, seeping through like light leaking under a closed door? We must tread carefully here. Science is cautious, and rightly so. Extraordinary claims demand extraordinary evidence. And yet, even without proof, these echoes stir our imagination. Because anomalies are invitations. They remind us that the universe may be stranger than we think, that beyond the comfort of neat equations and tidy models, there may be cracks in reality where something else shines through. And perhaps, when we gaze at those cracks, we are glimpsing the touch of another cosmos, brushing ours in silence. Let's leave the stars for a moment and return to something more intimate. You. As you listen now, in this quiet stretch of time, there is only one of you that you can feel. Your breath, your heartbeat, your stream of thoughts. But if the many worlds interpretation holds, there may be countless versions of you, each unfolding in parallel.
Think of your life as a river, winding its way forward. At every fork you take one path, and the river flows on. But what if the other paths still exist, flowing unseen beside you? There may be a version of you who chose a different career, another who spoke words you kept silent, another who never met the people most important to you now. There may even be versions who never survived the choices you did. It is a haunting idea, but also a strangely comforting one, because it suggests that no choice is ever truly lost. Somewhere, in some quiet branch of the multiverse, every possibility is still alive, still unfolding. But here's a deeper question. What does that mean for identity? Are those other yous really you? Or are they strangers who simply share your face and your history up to a point? Philosophers debate this. Some argue that identity is bound to the continuity of experience, the stream you are aware of now.
Others suggest that if another version of you exists, with all your memories and traits up to the moment of divergence, then in some sense, they are you. And if universes can brush together, as theories of brains and bubbles suggest, then perhaps, just perhaps, those other versions might not remain sealed away forever. What if, in rare crossings, echoes of their lives reach yours? A flicker of déjà vu, a dream that feels too real, a sudden sense of having lived a moment before. Science does not confirm this, but the human heart cannot help but wonder. Because when we think of parallel universes, it is not only the stars we imagine, it is ourselves. Long before physicists spoke of quantum branches and inflationary bubbles, humans were already telling stories of other worlds. Myths across cultures whisper of layered realities. The Norse spoke of the 9 worlds, stacked around the great tree Yggdrasil. Hindu cosmology describes an endless cycle of universes, born, destroyed, and reborn across infinite time. Even in folk tales, there are doors to hidden lands, mirrors that open into other realms, shadows that belong to other lives. In literature, the theme blossoms again and again. From the mirror world of Alice Through the Looking Glass to the countless alternate histories imagined in modern novels, we return to the same idea. What if things had gone differently? What if there is another place where another story is unfolding? And in our own time, science fiction has made the multiverse its playground. Entire genres revolve around parallel realities, alternate timelines, universes colliding and bleeding together. These stories captivate not just because they entertain, but because they resonate with something deep inside us, the sense that reality is bigger, more layered than what we see. Science may speak in equations and stories and metaphors, but both point toward the same horizon, the intuition that our world may not be alone. Perhaps these stories are not just fantasies, but rehearsals, ways our minds stretch toward truths we are not yet ready to grasp. Because often, humanity imagines before it discovers. We dream of flying before we build wings of metal. We tell tales of the cosmos before we launch telescopes into the dark. And so, when we whisper about other worlds, maybe we are already brushing the edges of something real. For all our curiosity, there is a wall we cannot yet see beyond. The multiverse is an idea that stretches science to its very edges. It is beautiful, imaginative, and in many ways inevitable, flowing naturally out of theories we already use to explain our world. And yet, it remains beyond proof. The reason is simple and humbling. Our instruments are built to measure this universe, not the next. Telescopes drink in the light of distant galaxies, but that light can only travel through the cosmos we already inhabit. Particle colliders probe the tiniest building blocks of reality, but they do not yet reach far enough to show us what might lie just outside our bubble. Even the cosmic microwave background, that faint afterglow of the Big Bang, is a kind of curtain. Beyond it, our view ends. If other universes lie outside, their light will never reach us. Their fingerprints, if they exist, may be too faint, too fleeting, too tangled with noise for us to ever untangle. And so we face a dilemma. Science thrives on testable predictions, but how do you test what may forever lie beyond observation? Some physicists say the multiverse is philosophy, not physics, an idea too slippery to ever be proven. Others reply that even if we cannot see the other worlds directly, their existence might still explain why this universe is the way it is, why the constants of nature seem so improbably tuned for life, why the cosmos has just the right recipe to allow you, sitting here now, to exist at all. Whether we call that science or something else is still debated, but in the end, the limits remain. The universe, as vast as it is, does not yield all its secrets easily. And maybe that's not a failure, but a gift, because mystery is what keeps us searching. It is what keeps us humbled beneath the stars. If the multiverse cannot yet be proven, you might ask, why does it matter? Why spend so much thought, so many nights of wonder on something we may never touch? The answer, perhaps, is not in certainty,
but in perspective. The multiverse reminds us that our reality is not the only possible one, that everything we know, the galaxies above, the mountains below, the lives we build, may be just one page in a far larger book. And that thought does something to the human spirit. It loosens our grip on the illusion of finality. It makes our victories sweeter because we know how fragile they are. It makes our struggles softer because we sense there may be versions of us who found different paths. And it makes our existence, here and now, feel like the most improbable and precious gift of all. Science, at its heart, is not only about knowledge, it is about awe, about learning to stand in the dark and still be amazed. The multiverse, whether proven or not, is a lantern for that awe. It reminds us that reality is deeper, stranger, and more generous than we can imagine. And perhaps, in the quiet of night, when you feel small beneath the stars, the thought of countless worlds does not make you smaller. It makes you part of something immeasurable. Have you ever felt déjà vu so strong it seemed impossible it was just your brain misfiring? A place you've never been feels familiar. A conversation seems to repeat itself. A dream lingers like a memory from another life. Some wonder, could these be echoes, faint signals from parallel versions of ourselves? Maybe when universes brush together, tiny fragments slip across. Not full lives, not clear visions, but just enough to leave us with a shiver, a whisper of recognition. Science doesn't confirm this, but the human mind, restless and searching, often wonders if our strangest experiences are hints of a reality far larger than we know. Black holes are among the most mysterious objects in our universe. From the outside, they are regions where gravity grows so strong not even light can escape. But what happens inside, beyond the event horizon, is a question no one can yet answer. Some theories suggest that a black hole might not simply crush matter into oblivion, but instead act as a kind of doorway, a tunnel, a bridge to another universe entirely. If that is true, then every black hole could be a seed of a new cosmos, budding off from ours like a branch from a tree. Perhaps our own universe was born this way, the child of a collapsing star in some larger reality. If that is true, then the night sky may not just hold countless stars, it may hold countless universes, each one hidden inside the darkness we cannot see through.
Parallel universes are usually imagined as out there, beyond our reach. But some thinkers ask a more unsettling question. What if they are also tied to our minds? In quantum mechanics, observation plays a strange role. Particles behave as probabilities until they are measured, and then they choose an outcome. One interpretation, the many worlds view, suggests that all outcomes happen, each in its own branch of reality. But if that's true, what does it mean for us, the observers? Does each act of awareness create a new split? Is consciousness not only shaped by reality, but actively weaving the threads of many worlds? It is a question that blends science with philosophy, and perhaps even spirituality. And it leaves us with a haunting thought. Maybe the multiverse is not only out there in the cosmos, but also within the quiet space of our own minds. When we imagine parallel universes, we often picture infinite variations stretching endlessly forward. But what about endings? Cosmologists know that our universe itself may not last forever. It could expand into a cold emptiness or collapse back into a singularity. But if there are infinite universes, then perhaps endings are only beginnings, each death feeding a new birth, each silence giving way to another song. Some see this as a cycle, an eternal renewal of existence. Others imagine a branching tree where no path is ever lost, only transformed. And in that vision, nothing is ever truly gone. Every story continues somewhere, in some form, even ours. Mathematics is often called the language of the universe. The patterns of prime numbers, the symmetry of equations, the geometry of space itself, all of it seems uncannily tuned to describe reality. But some physicists wonder,
what if math is not only describing our universe, but also hinting at others? Equations like string theory don't stop at one cosmos. They spill over, predicting vast families of possible worlds, each with different shapes and laws. Could it be that mathematics is the faint handwriting of the multiverse, written across the blackboard of existence, waiting for us to notice? We usually think of parallel universes as different places, but what if they are different times? Einstein showed us that time is woven into space, part of the same fabric. If so, then every moment, past, present, and future, may still exist somewhere, like pages in a cosmic book. When you remember a childhood moment, is it only a memory, or is it in some deeper sense a real place that still exists, forever unfolding in its own corner of reality? If so, then the multiverse might not only stretch across space, but also across time itself, a library where no page is ever lost. Another unsettling idea has gained attention in recent years. What if our universe itself is not the base reality, but a simulation? If advanced civilizations can create simulated worlds, complete with conscious beings who believe they are real, then perhaps we are among them. And if simulations can be created within simulations, then layers of reality might exist, stacked like mirrors, reflecting into infinity. This too is a kind of multiverse, one not born of physics, but of computation. And if it's true, then perhaps the other universes are not far away at all. They may be running on the same cosmic processor, side by side with ours. Every night when you dream, you slip into a world that feels real while you're in it. Streets you've never walked, people you've never met, events that never happened, and yet they carry a strange weight, a truth your waking mind struggles to explain. Most dreams are the work of imagination, but some traditions suggest they are more than that in dreams the boundaries soften, that sometimes we glimpse versions of ourselves from other realities, living other lives. It is impossible to prove, but when you wake with the echo of another world in your heart, it is tempting to wonder, did I just dream or did I visit another corner of the multiverse for a while?
Some physicists describe the universe not as matter, but as vibration. Tiny strings of energy humming at different frequencies, weaving the particles we know. If this is true, then perhaps each universe is like a note in a grand symphony. And just as notes sometimes resonate together, maybe universes do too. Perhaps when you feel a shiver, a moment of unexplainable harmony, it is the echo of another reality vibrating close to ours, a faint music we cannot quite hear, but can almost feel. Imagine walking down a quiet street at dusk. The light is soft, the shadows long. But what if some shadows do not belong to this world? What if faint imprints of other realities sometimes leak into ours, like overlapping film reels? Could ghostly shapes, unexplainable coincidences, even fleeting apparitions be the faint shadows of parallel worlds brushing past our own? We cannot prove it, yet the thought lingers that what we call mystery might be nothing more than reality bleeding through from elsewhere. Infinity is a concept that stretches the human mind to its limit. We can count stars, galaxies, even light years, but infinity is something else. If parallel universes exist, they may not number in the billions or trillions, but in the truly infinite. That means every possibility, every variation, every version of you, of Earth, of history is not just possible, it is inevitable. Somewhere, there is a universe identical to ours in every way, but one grain of sand shifted on a beach. Somewhere else, a world where civilizations we never imagined are thriving under different skies. Infinity means that the multiverse is not just a theory of physics, it is a vast ocean of existence without end, and we, for a fleeting moment, are awake inside it. If every possibility unfolds in some universe, what does that mean for choice?
Does free will lose its meaning if every decision branches into all outcomes anyway? One way to see it is that your choices are still deeply real, because in this universe, on this path, you are the one shaping the story. The other branches exist, yes, but they're not the life you are living now. Perhaps that is the quiet gift of the multiverse, to remind us that though countless roads stretch outward, this one, this exact moment you're in, is uniquely yours. And maybe in the end, that's enough.
Mirrors have always carried a sense of mystery. They show us ourselves, yet reversed, untouchable, existing in a world just beyond the glass. What if mirrors are more than reflections? What if they are faint metaphors, or even subtle doorways to realities running parallel to ours? Every time you gaze into a mirror, another you gazes back. Is it only light? Or could it be a shadow of the countless other versions of you, living lives you can't quite reach? Dreams feel fleeting, but inside them we experience entire lifetimes. Scientists tell us dreams are fragments of memory, imagination, and the brain's nightly housekeeping. But what if they are more? Some theorists whisper that dreams could be windows, brief connections to parallel lives. Perhaps when you dream of being someone else in a place you've never been, you're brushing against another you in another universe, living that reality right now. If our universe is a bubble drifting in a larger sea, then collisions are inevitable. Some models predict that universes might occasionally crash together, leaving scars across their skies. Could the strange alignments we see in the cosmic microwave background be such scars? Could every universe carry ancient bruises, quiet records of collisions with neighbors long vanished into the dark? If so, then even our cosmos is not alone in its history. It carries memories of meetings we can barely begin to decode. Parallel universes raise a deeply personal question. Who are you if there are countless versions of you? Are you defined only by this single thread of choices, or by the entire web of possibilities branching out from you? Some say that every you is equally real. Others say the self is bound to the awareness you hold right now. Maybe identity is like music. The same notes played in different ways create different songs. Each version of you is unique, and yet all are connected by the same source. Light, once released, should fade into the cosmos forever. But what if in rare cases light slips through the cracks of reality? What if some of the strange, unexplained flashes in the sky are not stars or galaxies, but are the light of another universe bleeding into ours for a moment? It would be faint, fleeting, gone before we could measure it. But the idea that the night sky may carry not just the story of our universe, but glimpses of others, is a thought that lingers, like starlight itself. When we look into the night sky, we expect to see signs of other civilizations. With so many stars, so many planets, surely someone else should be out there. Yet the silence is profound. Some suggest this silence is not emptiness, but separation. Perhaps intelligent life does exist, but in parallel universes rather than in our own. Maybe we search the wrong sky. Maybe the voices are calling, but from realities just beyond our reach. Sometimes we sense things that aren't there. The feeling of being watched, a flicker in the corner of vision, a déjà vu moment too sharp to ignore. Could these be shadows? Not of ghosts, but of parallel worlds pressing faintly against our own. Perhaps we brush past ourselves without ever realizing it. Imagine a library so vast it holds every book that could ever be written. In one volume, you're reading this script. In another, you never found it. This library of possibilities is an ancient metaphor for the multiverse. Every choice, every sentence, every future already exists somewhere on its shelves, waiting to be discovered. At the edges of science, particle accelerators smash matter together at unimaginable speeds.
Some scientists speculate that, in those brief collisions, fragments of other universes might flicker into existence, only to vanish in less than a heartbeat. If so, every experiment could be like knocking on the door of another reality. Time travel is often seen as impossible, but some theories suggest that if you did go back, you wouldn't change your own timeline, you'd create a new one. In this view, every attempt at rewriting history only opens another branch. The past can't be undone, but perhaps it can be multiplied. What if the multiverse is not a collection of separate bubbles, but more like overlapping notes in a cosmic symphony? Each universe plays its own tune, but together they create a harmony we cannot fully hear. Every vibration, every resonance is another world existing alongside ours. Some people swear they remember events differently. Lines from movies, names of products, even moments in history. Most dismiss it as faulty memory. But what if these mismatches are tiny slips between universes? Perhaps sometimes, without warning, we carry fragments of another reality with us. What if universes themselves are like dreams? Not our dreams, but the dreams of something larger. Just as we wake with fragments of strange realities still clinging to us, maybe the cosmos dreams universes into being, fleeting, vivid, and endless. Every coin flip feels simple, heads or tails. But quantum physics suggests that both outcomes might happen, just not in the same reality. If so, every roll of dice, every spin of a wheel, every moment of chance is the birthplace of new worlds. Probability doesn't just predict outcomes, it creates them. Astronomers often speak of the observable universe, the part of the cosmos we can see. But what lies beyond that horizon? Could it be more of our own universe, or the first whispers of others entirely? Perhaps the edge of the sky is not a wall, but a doorway. If the multiverse is real, then the question becomes, why this version of reality? Why are you aware of this particular universe, sitting here, listening, thinking? Out of all possible selves, why this one? That quiet question may be the most mysterious of all. And it lingers, like an echo, long after the story ends.
And so, our journey comes to rest. We began in a grocery store aisle with a simple choice of cereal. We wandered through quantum whispers, cosmic bubbles, and colliding brains. We paused at anomalies that hint at something more. We imagined the parallel you and remembered the stories humanity has always told of other worlds. And finally, we stood before the mystery itself, the vast, unanswerable question of whether other realities truly exist and whether they already brush against our own. No final answer waits for us, only the soft echo of possibility. But perhaps that is enough. Because sometimes it is not the destination that matters, but the journey, the act of wandering together across time and space. So, as you close your eyes tonight, know that you are part of a mystery too vast to solve, but not too vast to feel. Somewhere in the endless forest of realities, other paths are unfolding. And here, in this one, you are listening, breathing, drifting. Thank you for sharing this quiet exploration with me. May it bring you a little peace, a little wonder, and perhaps even a dream of worlds unseen. Until next time, this has been The Wandering Neuron. Sleep well, and good night.